So we got a lot of soft foam around the Xbox itself and even here on the top. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Wow, this thing is quite chunky. Well, I guess for how small it is, it definitely feels heavy. Just some marketing, and it's wrapped in this plastic protector here. And check it out, it's actually a box, like a tower. So we're gonna check this thing out in detail in a second. Let's see what else is in the box. So it looks like we have like a little quick start guide and kind of shows you what everything does, how to get started. So here we have another box that flaps open, and we have our controller. So it is all blacked out. We have this nice and new D-pad. That's pretty cool looking. We also have the new share button, but other than that, it looks pretty general, like very familiar. We do have some extra gripping around the controller and also some grip here. And everything is placed like it was before, so there's no learning. You just get straight to playing. So we also get a high-speed HDMI cable and the power cord. That's a 2-prong. But yeah, that's everything that's in the box. So very simple, well packed, and very unique packaging. All right, and so this is what the X series looks like. So it's literally a box or a rectangle, and it's completely blacked out. So up here we have the Xbox power button, and I'm sure it glows. And overall, the front is pretty clean. We have the disc insert right here with the eject button. On the other side, we have the remote pairing and a USB port. So this console can stand both ways, vertical and horizontal. So if we go this way, we can see that there are little rubber feet, and this is how you can sit it down horizontally, just like that. So depending on your layout and how you're going to store it, you could put it like this. So if we go to the bottom, the vertical bottom, we can see we have venting ports, and then the stand has a rubber all around it, so it's very grippy when it sits upwards. And right in the middle here, if you guys can see maybe that line, it does say Xbox on one side and hello from Seattle. So I'm going to stand it up horizontally again. So now we're looking at the back, and up here looks like we have some kind of venting. Pretty clean side going down. We got our label here, and below that we got all of our ports. So there's 2 USB ports, an Ethernet port, a storage expansion port, and this is if you want to add more storage, you can expand it here. And then below that we got an HDMI output and the power input port. And on each side we have pretty large venting openings here. So it draws the air from around the Xbox, the bottom and the sides here, and pushes it up. And speaking of up, this is what the top looks like. There's a lot of pretty large holes that the air vents out of. Now there is a green insert in there, and you can only see it when you look at it from an angle. So if I turn it to an angle, it appears all of a sudden. So that's quite unique. And also we do have like this concave kind of a look. So, and the last side that we haven't seen yet is this here. There's a little Xbox logo here, and it's just clean. So yeah, pretty interesting looking box, definitely quite plain, and will blend a little better with furniture, I guess, and it's not too showy. So as far as the remote goes, it's quite typical and feels pretty much the same with some subtle changes like the D-pad and the share button. This grip here all around the handles is really nice. It definitely feels a lot more like you can play it with sweaty hands and not have trouble. And we still do have the same ports underneath. So let's go ahead and compare the X here to the S. I do have the S also. Here we are looking at them from the front, and you guys can see how much smaller or thinner, I guess, the S is. Now the X being completely a square box, it's the same on every side, but the S here is a little different. So if we face it this way, we can see it gets quite wide. Now if we put it in front of the X, it's actually pretty much the same width here as the X. So that's quite interesting. So putting it right next to it, you guys can see that, the S is much smaller. Well, I guess I had it upside down this whole time. And also much lighter than the X, which is definitely interesting, considering the S is, quite capable. But if we lay them down and the S next to it, you can see what that looks like. Now, as far as the ports go, it looks like we pretty much have everything identical here. We got the Ethernet, the 2 USB, the HDMI output, and then the storage expansion. So yeah, exactly the same ports. And that's probably because they do both have the same motherboards. So there's a lot of similarities to it, but the X has more performance in it, in graphics and also RAM. So now let's look at the remotes real quick. So they look pretty much identical that I can tell. Everything looks the same kind of patterns, grips, buttons, joysticks. Everything seems to be exactly the same except for the color differences. So yeah.